I don't put it past it. Yeah, it does. Very much so.
Ready? Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our December Planning Commission meeting. We are getting ready to open. If the staff is ready, I'll ask if we can read the opening statement.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Augusta, Georgia Planning Commission is a recommending body. All final decisions on all zoning matters coming before it will be made by the Augusta Commissioner on Tuesday, January the 7th, 2025 at 2 p.m. If there are any changes in the dates, I'll let all petitioners know. But as of right now, we are expecting January the 7th, 2025, when your final decision will be made with the Augusta Commission. The Planning Commission makes the final decisions on all variances, including subdivision regulations. A handout describing the zoning procedures for which these cases are decided is available upon request. These procedures also require that any applicant for a rezoning action or any opponent to an application for a rezoning action who has made contributions aggregating $250 or more to a local government official within 2 years of the rezoning application to file a disclosure report with the governing authority. The disclosure report must be filed within 10 calendar days of filing the application and at least 10 calendar days prior to today's hearing. A minimum of 10 minutes shall be afforded for presentation of data, evidence, opinions on each side of the rezoning petition or a special exception. If more than 10 minutes is afforded to one side, then an equal amount of time shall be afforded to the other side. The Commission does encourage its participation in this hearing, and there is no restrictions on who may address the Commission within the allotted time. But the Commission does ask that all public comments be brief, on subject, and non-repetitive, and not directed to the Commission, but are to any individual or group.
First case.
Good afternoon and welcome to the December Planning Commission meeting. The very first item on the agenda is a returning item from the November meeting. It is a petition 24-33 by Drayton Parker Companies LLC on behalf of J.J. Bargingham, requesting a rezoning from Zone B1 business, neighborhood business, to Zone B2, affecting properties containing approximately 4.69 acres located at 2311 Windsor Spring Road and 3221 Richmond Hill Road. Staff will present.
Kevin Boyd, Development Services Manager, and this is a property that consists of 2 adjacent tracts with a combined total of 4.69 acres. The request is to change the zoning from B1 neighborhood business to B2 general business to establish a 5,175 square foot convenience store with 16 fueling stations in accordance to the letter of intent and conceptual site plan submitted with the application. The property is in the northwest quadrant of the intersection of Windsor Spring Road and Richmond Hill Road. This item was postponed last month due to concerns that surrounding residents were not properly notified of this meeting. And last Monday, there was a neighborhood meeting, and issues regarding traffic, the number of similar establishments in the area, as well as the parking of large trucks were topics of concern. And so there was a general conversation about those issues during that approximately 50-minute meeting. Staff's findings, the applicant requests to rezone 2 properties, as stated, a little less than 5 acres, changing the zoning for 5,175 square foot convenience store with 16 fueling stations. The properties are currently vacant at this time. There were 2 previous zoning cases, Z-0784 for a special exception to establish a convenience store on the property addressed at 2311 Windsor Spring Road, which was approved but never constructed. And then zoning case Z-2262 a couple years ago for rezoning both properties for a 24-hour convenience store. And might I add, this request is specifically for a 24-hour convenience store. The properties are located outside of the 100-year special flood hazard area, and there are no wetlands located on the properties. Adjacent zoning districts to the north and west are B1. Properties across properties across Richmond Hill to the east and across from Windsor Spring Road to the south are zone R1A. So that's the predominant zoning in that generalized area, R1A zoning. The proposed change in zoning to B2 will be consistent with the 2023 comprehensive plan. And as of the completion of this report, staff has received a few calls and inquiries concerning this rezoning application. This concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Kevin. Is the applicant present? Sir, if you'll give us your name and address for the record and a brief overview of your petition.
Sure. It's Brian Klauser with Kinley Horn, civil engineer for the applicant. Address 25 Bull Street, Savannah, Georgia, 31401. Kind of just elaborating on what Mr. Boyd had just mentioned, looking to take the zoning from B1 to B2. Main items there is the B1 is only 18 hours, so B2 24 hours, just in line with their normal kind of procedure for operations. I guess elaborating on the meeting from last week, I wasn't there. Applicant was there as well, but we've also got their traffic engineer consultant here on the team if there are any specific questions on that. Yes, sir.
Anyone opposed to the petition? Hearing none. Questions from the commission? Staff recommendation.
All right. The Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of the rezoning request with the following conditions. Number 1, there shall be no semi-truck parking at the location. Number 2, the development shall comply with all requirements as determined by the traffic engineering for the existing and proposed ingress-egress points during the site plan approval process. Condition number 3, no trees shall be planted along the 20-foot wide water line easement that encroaches onto the backside of the property, but shrubs from the pre-approved tree list shall be installed. Additionally, trees are to be installed at a 3-inch caliper minimum with a minimum height of 6 to 8 feet at the time of installation along the road frontages for both Windsor Spring and Richmond Hill Road. Condition number 4, approval of this rezoning request does not constitute approval of the concept site plan approval in compliance with the site plan of regulations of Augusta, Georgia, prior to construction commencing on the property. Development of the property shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia at the time of development. And this concludes staff's recommendation.
Chair will entertain a motion. Sure. Do you accept the staff's recommendations?
We would request that the zoning be approved as B2.
Ma'am, would you get closer to your,
I'm sorry. We would request that the zoning be approved as just straight B2.
That is what staff has recommended with the conditions.
Yeah. So just verifying, condition 1 there was the no semi-truck parking on site, and 2 through 5 was related to the traffic and the plantings. That's correct?
That is correct.
You good?
Yes.
Yep, then we're good. We agree.
we know they got to refuel, we just don't want them parking as a truck stop would park.
What's that again?
We know the trucks will have to pull in to refuel, but we would not like the lot to be full of semi-trailer trucks overnight or all day
Oh,
long.
yeah, the only two I would call semi-trucks would be food delivery services and just normal fuel delivery to drop off for a 1 or 2 hour time frame. Yeah, there's no parking for any 18-wheelers, no overnight parking.
Right.
Correct.
Second.
I'm sorry, motion was,
This was my
You got a second? Yep.
and I believe I asked you, so you accept all, you don't want any changes made to the recommendations, you accept them all?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Roll call vote?
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to approve Z2433. That's approved with staff recommendations. Do a roll call vote. Commissioner O'Neill, how do you vote? Approved. Commissioner Prince? That's approved. Commissioner Davis? Approved. Malice? Approved. Hooser?
Yes.
McKnight?
Approved.
Clark?
Approved.
Smith? He's not there? No. Oh, okay. No.
The late vote. Is a vote nevertheless.
It's approved with staff recommendations. The B2.
Along with the staff recommendation.
Okay. Commissioner Owens? Yes. Spencer? Yes. All right, so Z2433 has been approved with staff recommendation.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Item 2 on the agenda is Z-24-37, and it is a petition by GW Riverwatch LLC on behalf of Rodney D. Crenshaw, Joy Victoria Crenshaw, and Chad McNair requesting a rezoning from Zone R1A1 Family Residential, B1 Neighborhood Business, and B2 General Business to Zone B2, affecting properties containing approximately 3.75 acres located at 2107 and 2109 Harding Road, plus 2925, 2931, and 2935 Peach Orchard Road. Staff will present.
Rachel Martin, Planning Projects Coordinator. The petition seeks to rezone 3.75 acres of split-zoned
Excuse
R1A.
me. I'm sorry. Can you get a little closer to the mic, Parsons?
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Fine.
The petition seeks to rezone 3.75 acres of split-zoned R1A, one-family residential, B1 neighborhood business, and B2 general business property to B2 general business, which is located at 2107 and 2109 Harding Road, 2925, 2931, and 2935 Peach Orchard Road. The applicant would like to construct a car wash facility and other commercial developments. The subject property is located within the South Augusta character area. There is an active business license at 2931 Peach Orchard Road for an automobile window repair business. There is also an active business license at 2935 Peach Orchard Road for a car wash and detail business. A letter of support from the owners of 2113 Harding Road was received with the rezoning application. A traffic signal is located approximately 860 feet from the property's main entrance, which fronts Peach Orchard Road. The property also has an additional access point on Harding Road and another connected to the neighboring business, which is 7 Brew Coffee. Adjacent zoning to the west is R1A, one family residential. To the east is B2 general business. To the south is B1 Neighborhood Business, and to the north is B2 General Business. According to the Augusta Traffic Engineering Department, a traffic study will need to be conducted. Per the Georgia Department of Transportation Functional Classification Map, Harding Road is classified as a local road and Peach Orchard Road is classified as a principal arterial road. According to the FEMA flood insurance rate map, the property is not located within a special flood hazard zone, and there are also no wetlands on the property. Public water and sewer are present. At the time of completion of this report, we have not received any inquiries regarding this application, and that completes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Sir, if you would give us your name and address and a brief overview of your project.
Good afternoon. I'm Bill Quarter with Blue Water Engineering. I'm the project engineer. I'm here on behalf of the applicant today. 4210 Columbia Road, Martinez is our address. The project, as you see on the layout before you, is a site that will include a car wash and then some other commercial retail space on the property as well. A few of the parcels are already zoned properly, B2. We're looking to bring 2 B1 zone parcels up to B2 and then 1 residential parcel. And as staff mentioned, we have a letter of support from the residents, which adjoins the property. They're actually the sellers for the adjacent parcel, and so they don't have any objection to the rezonings since they're selling one of the parcels for the project. Other than that, I'll be glad to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Thank you. Anyone opposed to the project? Any questions from the commission? This is going to be too easy today. No questions from the commission? Questions from the audience? Sir, if you'll step up to the microphone and give us your name and address, I'll entertain the question.
My name's Dan Funch, 2301 Allen Avenue, Augusta. So traffic going north on Peach Orchard Road would not be turning left into this business.
So the main entrance from Peach Orchard Road for this site will be right in, right out only because of the configuration of Peach Orchard Road would not be eligible for a median break there. So anyone who needed to make an alternate movement would have to use the other road at Harding.
You have to turn right onto Harding and then turn right again into your...
Correct. Otherwise, if they're trying to get into the development, they could go beyond the development to the next traffic signal, turn around and come back from the other direction.
And the next traffic signal that way is Lumpkin, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission?
I got one, and maybe are the sidewalks required along Peach Orchard and Harding? It's for the staff. I would say that it is. I know that, but
The sidewalks are pre-existing, if I'm not mistaken. So they will have, whatever they, during the construction process, they will have to put it back.
thank you.
And that segment of the road does belong to GDOT, so if GDOT says no, then we'll go with what GDOT requires.
No further questions? Chair will entertain a motion. Oh,
Well, you got to do recommendations, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes. The Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of the rezoning request with the following conditions. Number one, a 20-foot tree buffer must be installed along the rear property line that is used and zoned as residential. Number two, the plan must comply with all related aspects of the tree ordinance. Number three, any outdoor lighting must be downlit and directed away from nearby residential properties. Number four, a full traffic study will need to be completed per the Augusta Traffic Engineering Department requirements. Condition number 5, approval of this rezoning request does not constitute approval of the concept site plan approval in the compliance with the site plan regulations of Augusta, Georgia, prior to construction commencing on the property. And number 6, the development of the property shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia, at the time of development. And this concludes staff's recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Director. Sir, do you agree with the conditions?
Yes.
Chair will now entertain a motion.
Move to approve with staff recommendations.
And that's an approval with staff recommendations for Z 2437. Let's do an all in favor. Say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, so Z 2437 has been approved with staff recommendation.
Next item on your agenda is item number 3, Z-24-38, and it is a petition by Outlook LLC requesting a rezoning from R1B, one-family residential, to R1C, one-family residential, affecting property containing approximately 3.13 acres located at 1924 Grand Boulevard. Staff will present.
Rachel Martin, Planning Projects Coordinator. This application is to rezone a 3.13 acre property located at 1924 Grand Boulevard from R1B, one family residential, to R1C, one family residential, to develop Walker Village, a residential development containing 14 lots. The tract is currently a vacant, cleared, and undeveloped lot. The concept plan presented with the rezoning application proposes the following: 14 detached single-family homes, private road throughout the development with 2 entry-exit points, a stormwater detention pond, a mail kiosk, and 0.52 acres of open space/common area. According to the 2023 comprehensive plan, the property is located within the Old Augusta Character Area. There are no prior zoning actions for the property. The property has access to public water and sewer. According to the Georgia Department of Transportation State Functional Classification Map, Grand Boulevard and Turpin Street are identified as local roads. Public transit is available nearby on MLK Jr. Boulevard within approximately 848 feet of the property. According to the FEMA flood insurance rate maps, this property is not located within a special flood hazard area, and there are no wetlands located on the property as well. The adjacent properties to the north are zoned R1A, one family residential, with existing single-family homes on them. To the south, there are 2 different zoning districts. The eastern portion of the south property line is zoned light industrial, with an existing industrial business present. The western portion of the south property line is zoned R1C, multifamily residential, with existing multifamily homes present. The adjacent property to the west is zoned R1A, one family residential, and R3B, multifamily residential. Staff has not received any inquiries concerning this rezoning application as of the completion of this staff report, and that concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Or the applicant's representative?
Long time no see.
If you don't mind, repeat the name and address for the record.
Bill Quarter, 4210 Columbia Road, Martinez. I'm the project engineer, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I think the staff covered it, as this one's fairly straightforward. We are asking for a slight increase in density, although we adjoin light industrial and some more densely zoned properties. There are a few, two of the sides technically have lesser zoned, less density per the zoning, but if you look at the map of the area, the lot sizes that we're proposing are actually larger than most of the surrounding lots. For whatever reason, a lot of the existing lots in the lower density zoned areas are actually smaller than what the density would technically allow. I'm not sure why that is, but the point I'm trying to make is that I think we'll fit in with the surrounding neighborhood. We're not looking to create lot sizes that are smaller than what's already in that area.
Any questions from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I was looking, are we going to put sidewalks on both sides of the private street or just one side?
I think the plan was just for one side.
Do you have a problem doing it on both sides? Because
I don't think there's anything in that area that has sidewalks on both sides of the street, and the road would be interior, so I'm not sure what we would accomplish there. I will say that I know from the pre-meeting that we're going to be talking about some other conditions. The developer's trying to develop this to keep the housing affordable for that area, and I would say, I wouldn't oppose sidewalks on both sides, but I think that may compromise what they can do on the finishes of the homes themselves.
I like single-family detached, so I won't get into the types of building products, but I think the safety of the patrons would require sidewalks on both sides. But I don't think we need vinyl siding if we're going to do all that stuff. You get where I'm going?
Okay.
Does the commissioner wish to make that a part of the recommendation?
Yes.
Can you do that? You want to do that now or wait?
I can do it now.
All right, let's do it now. And add a recommendation.
Just to clarify, could you state louder and into the microphone what your recommendation is?
That there will be a requirement for sidewalks on both sides of the private road.
Any other questions from the commission?
So
I was just going to ask, what's the approximate square footage of the homes?
They'll probably vary. If you look at the plan, you'll see the smaller rectangle inside is the buildable area. So some lots have a little bit more buildable area than others, but we're probably looking at 12,000 to 1,800 square feet, somewhere in there. Maybe something as large as 2,000, but that would probably be the upper limit.
Commissioner Smith?
Can you clarify, you said 12,000? You meant 12,000?
I'm sorry, 12 to 1,800 square feet, with 2,000 being the upper limit most likely. Yes, thank you. That would be an awful big house for that area. Yes, you're right.
Vice Chairman Fruza?
Yeah, I also had a clarifying question. So the sidewalk recommendation from Commissioner McKnight is in addition to the sidewalk recommendation in the staff recommendation? So those are additional sidewalks?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith?
This is for the staff. Should we have a vote on that recommendation that Commissioner McKnight wanted to impose?
Because we haven't read the recommendations into the record yet, I just captured it. So it'll be an add-on, but nothing's official yet. It's just discussion, but I noted it in case you want to incorporate it into the final recommendation.
Okay.
I just wanted to.
All right, thank you.
Good. No further questions? Anyone opposed to this petition in the audience? Please state your name and record, please. Address for the record, please. Amber.
Good afternoon. My name is Kiana Lighton Solomon. I'm a resident of the South Turpin Hill neighborhood. My address is 1935 Grand Boulevard. I am here on behalf of the Community Association for this neighborhood, and we have a couple of concerns. One is that our primary concern is that we were not informed about this development until the sign went up, and also that there was an article written announcing it and describing it as a new neighborhood in our existing established historic neighborhood. We immediately made 2 requests to meet with the developer to gain more information about the concept concept, the planning, and also the intent of the actual development. The first contact was on November 18th. None of those calls or emails or texts were returned to us. Additionally, we just have so many questions about the development, about what the intention is. You have already covered some of that as far as like the siding, the materials, and also the intention of it. There's also quite a few drainage issues with that lot, and so we are curious to see how that's going to be covered in the plan. We want to know about also the timeline of the project, and if there's any ability for the community to have input or engagement with the actual developers or the applicant. And additionally, we're currently engaged in a 3-year grant process being stewarded by the Augusta Housing Community Development Department. And through that process, we're trying to have more inclusive, collaborative planning for the neighborhood in our future. And for any development like this, we would want to have the developer actually engage with us and incorporate our concerns, or at least be able to be open to a discussion about how the development is going to impact the community's future. And also, we also have a historic concern because the parcel, we were engaging with the Augusta Historic Preservation Commission because that parcel is a site of Camp Dyer. That was a historic World War I encampment for African-American soldiers. And so we had many efforts going on to preserve that parcel and also plan for the future of that parcel. And so this development, we would like to just oppose, the rezoning until we could get more information or collaboration from the developer. That concludes my comments.
And is that the only comment from your group?
There's 2 more comments.
But you did see the planning and zoning sign at the project, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. In addition to,
Ma'am, I'm
what
sorry.
she has read,
Ma'am,
I'm concerned
could you give
about
us-
the area
Ma'am,
that we have found. Pardon?
could you give us your name and address?
My
for the-
name is Belle Clark, and I live Turpin Hill, 1103 7th Avenue.
Thank you.
We have received some information about that area of land that at once while back in the day, it was for the Black Confederate Army. That was their camp. And that's where they lived and fought the war. But it's been covered up. But the news is out, came to us. So I'm concerned if that was a Black Confederate Army, that land should be set aside as a memorial. The city should take a hard look at it, go back and research the history before you build these houses, because there was a Black Confederate Army back in the day. And it was because it sits on a hill. If you're coming down from Folk Garden, you can look and see the hill. And that's where they had that army. I would appreciate that. And a lot of our members are not here because today was a bad day. But I thank God I made it. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any further comments from your group? Thank you, ma'am. Staff recommendation?
I have a question.
I'm sorry.
So do you have anything to concern? This is our first time, well, my first time hearing this
Case?
Confederate and not being able and having a chance maybe to talk to the members of that community and address some of their issues?
I'll answer what I can. There are some things that I can't answer. The simple thing, there was a question about stormwater coming off of the site. We've already done topos and come up with a drainage plan. We've got a stormwater management pond designed for the property to manage the stormwater, so that shouldn't be a concern. Most of you are probably aware that that site was once a school facility, and I believe the city once owned it. I believe the city sold that property to our client. and he purchased the property. So I would assume that before the city sold it, they would have looked into any, historic reasons why they might have wanted to keep it. So that I'm not aware of. The school obviously has been demolished back around 2012 or so, and the property sat vacant. Like I said before, it's already zoned for residential development with just a slightly larger lot size. Today, we're looking for zoning to make the lot sizes a little bit smaller. I cannot speak to the outreach on November 18th. The applicant's not here today. I'm the project engineer on their behalf. We haven't heard from anyone about that, so I really can't speak to those matters.
Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chairman.
This is a question for the petitioner. Do you believe that the applicant will be open to postponing this petition so that you guys can coordinate some type of meeting with the residents to perhaps hear their concerns and have some bi-directional conversation?
Yeah, the applicant's not here, so, if you feel like the best course of action is to postpone it, I'll be glad to speak with them. I can say they purchased the property from the city for the purpose of doing this development. And so, I'm sure they're glad to talk. They want this to be nice. They want it to fit into the community. I heard, some of the concerns before today's meeting at the staff level that the project fits in and it complements the community, and I think that's the plan. I think the developer really wants to do something nice for the area to help improve the area. I'm not sure that they're open to, preserving it, in perpetuity unless someone wanted to purchase the property back. But if the commission feels like the best thing to do is to table it into another meeting, then, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark, you next.
I was going to suggest the same thing, just have the opportunity for the community and the developers to have conversation to see how they may be able to work collaboratively together to improve that parcel that you guys are planning on doing so.
Commissioner Smith?
I have two questions. Number one, the applicant is listed in the letter as Charles Walker.
That's correct.
That's former Senator Walker.
That's correct.
Who has a real desire to help our city grow.
That's correct.
My next question is, on your map that you've given us, you've got the proposed detention pond facing Turpin Street. Is that right?
Right.
I'm looking at that. And I'm sure that the ladies here are concerned, like I am. How do we make that so it's not an eyesore? If it was at the back of the property, I would but it's at the corner. What is going to be your plan to make sure that that's not the first thing people see as they drive down Turpin Street?
So there's a hill. It sits at the top of a slope, so you wouldn't be able to see the pond itself from the roadway. And then typically around a detention pond, there's some shrubbery to help screen visually, if there needed to be an additional condition that was placed on the zoning, to add shrubbery around the perimeter. I'm sure the developer would be glad to do that, but you wouldn't really be able to see the pond itself from the roadway because of the terrain. I know it's hard to envision that, just looking at it on a flat piece of paper, but the detention pond sits up from the road probably at least 4 feet, maybe a little bit more than that, and the water level would be below that. So you would just see the terrain essentially from the road. Now inside the neighborhood, as you drive through the street, if you're approaching from heading toward the west, you would likely be able to see it without shrubbery, but that would be interior to the development. But you're right, we've met with Senator Walker about this on a number of different occasions, and every time we've met, he's talked about his desire to do something for the city and to make this area much nicer. I am surprised that he wouldn't have responded to a request, but if that just came in on the 18th with the holiday, maybe he was out of town or there was some other reason that he couldn't respond. But he really does have a vision for making this something, that's better for the city than what's there today. I would say that, we've been out there a few times, including not too long ago, we had to go do a traffic count for the traffic study. And, some unpleasant things were occurring in that area that we would hope that we could clean up by this development.
Thank you. Commissioner Owens, did you have a question? Do you have a question?
Chair, I have a question.
Okay.
To the petitioner. To Commissioner Smith, the point again, is that the only location you can put that pond? I understand that, I'm trying to look at the map and see the topography of it. Even if you put shrubbery around it, it's still going to pop out amongst those houses. Unless you plan on putting a lot of vegetation around the houses to blend it all in. But is that the best location? Because you're going to see it as soon as you make that turn into off of Turpin.
It will still be up. So if you turn in, with the pond on your left, it's still going to be uphill until you get into the development. Then you would be able to see it from the top of the road. The answer is that's the best place. So right now, if you're looking at the plan, if you see where the road makes the 90-degree bend, actually a lot of the water from that site is coming off, I guess it would be southeast, running on to some adjacent property. And so what we've done in this plan is collected it, and we're taking it to a drainage system at the street. So if we were to move the pond and put it in another location, then we would be looking at discharging that water onto some of the adjoining property, which is what we're trying to avoid.
That's a detention pond or a retention pond?
It's a detention pond, meaning that under normal conditions, it's dry, and it would be mowed. So basically, it'll be a grassed pond. But again, because of the terrain, and it's hard to envision that unless you're standing out there on the site, you're not going to see it from the public streets. You're only going to see it from inside the development. And again, some shrubbery to help screen that could be added quite easily. That's fairly common around detention ponds. We could, design that so it wouldn't be an eyesore.
Can I make a motion that we postpone and give the petitioner and the community a chance to meet?
Second.
Yeah, second.
I heard the,
For 30 days.
To postpone.
yes.
And to look at the placement of the retention pond.
Right, several other issues as well. I could go ahead and ask for the staff recommendations, but sensing the commission's feeling, do I hear a motion that we postpone?
Yeah, there was a motion and second.
Sorry, okay.
All right, so there was a motion on the floor to postpone Z2438 by Commissioner Spencer and Commissioner Locke. Do you guys want to do a roll call or all in favor? Everybody sounds good about postponing?
Let's do
all in favor?
Let's do a roll call, please.
Do roll call? Okay. So let's do a roll call vote. Commissioner Prince, how do you vote? Commissioner Smith?
Postpone.
Commissioner Malice?
Postpone.
Commissioner Owens?
Postpone.
Commissioner O'Neill? Commissioner Clark?
Postpone.
Commissioner Spencer?
Postpone.
Commissioner Davis left. Commissioner McKnight?
Postpone.
And Commissioner Poozer?
Yes.
All right, so Z2430 has been postponed to our January 6th meeting.
Comment is that it would look really good if we got a letter from the Historic Society saying that they have no objections to this project.
Okay.
That would help tremendously.
Is it possible for the staff to provide us with contact information for the community?
Yes, what I'm going to have is I have a member of my staff who will meet you in the back, and that will help with the opposition and the contact information. So whoever's not presenting the next, that's Miss Rachel. She's heading to the back now, so she'll meet you all back there and get your contact information, and then we'll help facilitate the gathering spot if y'all need us to provide a space, or we can meet at the site. It just depends on whatever everyone wants to do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, and that's her in the back with the black sweater and the long blonde hair and the bangs, new bangs.
Next item.
Next up, we have item number 4, which is petition Z-24-39, and it is a request to rezone from R3A multifamily to R3C multifamily, affecting property containing approximately 4.83 acres located at 2620 Richmond Hill Road. Staff will present.
All right, Kevin Boyd. This rezoning petition pertains to a 4.83 acre property located at 2620 Richmond Hill Road. This property is currently zoned R3A, multiple family residential, and has been requested to be rezoned to R3C, multiple family residential. The property is part of the Richmond Park neighborhood and features a group personal care home for 15 residents. The applicant wants to expand this group personal care home into a congregate personal care home to include the following: 4 additional personal care home rooms, 20 independent living units, 21 additional parking spaces, 20% approximately, or 8,585 square feet of recreational space. And then this petition, as presented, satisfied the home design standards, and there are no outstanding compliance issues for the property at this particular time. Staff findings. There was a request for a group personal care home, first for the rezoning to R3A, and then the special exception for the group home back in 2021. The home for Angel Care, this business has been active on the site since 2008. The applicant proposes to expand, adding those additional units for the congregate home at the subject property. The independent living units will be approximately 600 square feet each, including the following inside: a kitchen, a dining room, bathroom, living room, sleeping area, and closet. The current personal care home is operated by 2 full-time and 1 part-time staff members. This number will increase to 4 full-time and 1 part-time staff member with the addition of units. R1A, 1 family residential zoning, surrounds the entire property. The closest personal care home is located 0.32 miles south of the subject property on Richmond Hill Road. Per the Georgia Department of Transportation GDOT functional classification map, the street is classified as a minor arterial road. According to the FEMA flood insurance rate maps, firm maps, the property is not located within a special flood hazard area. And according to the Augusta-Richmond County GIS data, property, it does not contain wetlands either. And at the completion of the staff report, staff has not received any inquiries regarding this request. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? Sir, if you give us your name and address for the record and a brief overview of the project.
My name is Charles Jones, 1910 Thomas Lane in Augusta. I'm here with the property owner. This property, as was mentioned, is a personal care home on the property, but the property has a large number of acres on the site. The owner wishes to expand to increase the number of persons in the personal care home, but also to create some independent living units because of the need for them in this area. It's basically for independent living persons, seniors, and otherwise needing some independent care. It was mentioned that the units would have, the new units would have kitchens. They'll have what we call a kitchenette. They will not be having a full-size kitchen to prepare meals. The purpose of this development is to provide them with some services, such as having meals prepared like they do already for the independent living place. But they would, it's not an independent living place, for the current use where they provide all the meals. But in this case, independent living would allow them to have meals brought in if they are not happy with what they're getting or they just want to change. We do have a multi-purpose facility planned so that they can go to a place where they can have meals similar to what's done presently in the building. On the property, which is 4.83 acres, we're proposing that just under half of it remain undeveloped because it's heavily wooded and it's really a nice place for wildlife, the birds and things that live out there. But if you notice on the site plan, the current facility is in the front and almost 75% of the lot is just unused. So what we would like to do is to use some of it to expand the facility and meet a need that is becoming acute here in Augusta.
Thank you, sir. Is anyone opposed to this petition? Seeing none. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the petitioner?
Have y'all had any complaints?
Hi, I'm Angel Dunn. I'm the property owner. When you state complaints, and you're meaning residents or living, I mean, I haven't had any, but I'm just asking, what are you asking?
Yeah, from the residents, I mean, from the neighbors.
From the community, no.
Like any crime of any sort or any problem, no problems that you?
No, and I've been there since 2008. I haven't.
Any other questions from the commission?
May staff ask a few questions of the applicant, please? The proposed units that are going to be for independent living, are those attached or detached?
Attached.
Okay. So
Not to the current facility, no.
No, not to the current, but to each other. All right. And then in addition to that, you're looking at how many square feet roughly for each one of those?
That's an architect.
About 380 something square feet? I think it's 338 or?
It says 325.
Because I'm looking at one independent unit and it says 600 square feet, but that's them combined if I'm not mistaken, because I see two doors. So that's roughly 338 square feet per unit?
Yes.
Okay. So with that.
That's a no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, see where it says 300, so is it 600 square feet per unit?
Yes, it's each unit.
Okay, 2 times 30, okay, all right, I see it, all right. So you're looking at 600 square feet per unit attached. You can only have up to 8 of them attached, and you're trying to install how many again?
20.
Or is this going to be phased or all at once?
Phased.
Okay. And in addition to that, how many of these are ADA units?
ADH?
ADA.
ADA? We would like for all of them to be, right? Because they have to be handicap accessible. That's the majority of our care, yeah.
All right, so if they're ADA and there's no proposed access for a vehicle, whether that be emergency vehicle or personal vehicles, I have some concerns about that access for them. How would you accomplish that if, say, emergency services were to have to come onto the property? Are you going to have an access road along the back or something? How are you going to accomplish that?
Well, the way, if you can take a look at the printout, I have 2 entries where you can come in on either side. So we plan to use both entries, and we're going to make that wraparound circle area there. So for emergencies, they can come there and kind of walk to the units because they'll kind of be close together.
If someone in the independent living quarters has an emergency and they're in that back corner, ambulance services or emergency services walking across there is not going to be an ideal setting. But I will say that this could be worked out in the site plan review process. But those are some of the concerns that I have, and about making sure that we know that these people who would potentially reside here are going to have some challenges. So making sure that the units are ADA, a percentage of them are ADA compliant with ramps and things of that nature, and make sure that there is access for emergency vehicles to get in there, including fire apparatuses to get all the way back there to the corner. They would have to jump the curb and things of that nature. So, you know, you just really want to be mindful of that particular aspect.
Absolutely. So maybe adding a sidewalk.
Questions?
So you all will work with them on correcting that problem?
Right. This is a concept plan. There's enough land and acreage to spread this out to accomplish the necessary.
Commissioner Smith?
This is for the staff. Do you need more time to get this worked out? Or is it something that we need to vote on today? Because right now I'm kind of uncomfortable until the answers to your questions are provided. This is the cart in front of the horse. It's always better to get your zoning first before you spend too much money on designing it. So I don't think that they've put the cart before the horse in this case. I think that the design work needs improvement, and that's something that we work through in the site plan review process. So this is the concept, so they're telling us what their vision is. The engineering behind that will come after. I wouldn't postpone making a decision on the zoning because I know they have to go through the site plan approval process, and fire is one of the reviewers on the design aspect. So I would go ahead and make a recommendation on or to the full commission based on the zoning necessary to accomplish the changes that they would like. So you're comfortable then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Okay, staff, another question back to staff. Then would you,
phone, please?
if for approval, would you read what you will be recommending?
Yeah.
Are y'all ready for the staff recommendation?
If all the questions have been answered, please. Staff recommendation.
The Planning and Development staff recommends denial of the rezoning request to R3C because it is not compatible with the comprehensive plan nor the surrounding zoning and use. However, should the board move to approve this rezoning request to R3C, the Planning and Development staff recommends the following conditions. Number 1, the use should be limited to a congregate personal care home. Number 2, the home shall be staffed and maintained in compliance with all State Department of Community Health regulations for a congregate personal care home. Number 3, successful completion of a code enforcement inspection is required before issuance of the business license. Number 4, the applicant must receive an updated City of Augusta business license for the expanded number of residents and continue to maintain a license with the state of Georgia. Proof of compliance with the minimum requirements of Chapter 290-2-518 of the OCGA must be provided, and the applicant must provide annual inspection reports. In condition number 5, if wheelchair-bound persons reside in the residence, all 2010 ADA standards for accessible design requirements must be met, including but not limited to all doorways being at least 3 feet wide, at least one bathroom permitting a wheelchair-dependent person person to use all of the facilities unimpeded. And then condition number 6, the installation of a 6-foot privacy fence to enclose the rear and side portions of the property is required. Condition number 7, approval of this rezoning request does not constitute approval of the concept site plan approval in compliance with the site plan regulations of Augusta, Georgia, prior to construction commencing on the property. Condition number 8, the development of the property shall comply with all development standards and regulations as set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia at the time of development. And that concludes staff's recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I had one question for Director Delaney. Related to referencing condition 1 under the approval recommendation, the use should be limited to a congregate personal care home. If that usage ceases, does it reverse back to its original zone?
I wouldn't recommend that. Again, going back to how we will track it, maintain it, hold them accountable for it, and thinking 10, 15 years down the road. Also, in the event the independent living portion of this takes off and they see a need to expand the independent living portion of things, that they shouldn't have to necessarily come back for a rezoning. Okay. So that's why, we're always saying think 10, 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road, what this will look like. Or could look like.
Mr. Chair, I have one other question in addition to what Commissioner Poozer just said. What if the ownership changes? The concern, I think, where we're going to, was brought up in the pre-meeting, that the usage would change if our petitioner no longer owned the property.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so essentially R3A, and I should have clarified this in the pre-meeting, R3A and R3C, the biggest difference is the density. Mm-hmm. So with R3A, you have 4,000 square feet required per dwelling unit, whereas R3C will be 1,500 square feet. So you get to the density that makes it possible for you to do something more, go vertical on some things, and that's how you get to that point. That being said, though, sir, with regards to property ownership changing hands, I don't think it's in the best interest to try to tie zoning to property owners. Zoning should run with the land. So if the land, regardless of who owns the land, the zoning is intended to be designated to the land because it's already anticipating that ownership changes happen. Did I answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Make a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
She got a separate recommendation.
Was your recommendation to approve, right? The approval recommendations? Second. To approve.
So, right. Ma'am?
It's done. Do you accept the recommendation?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. So your motion is to approve the project, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
With the staff recommendation.
Right.
With the
And second?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was Poozer and Owens.
Roll call vote, please.
You good? Okay. Let's do a roll call vote for the approval with staff recommendations for Z 2439. Commissioner Davis, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Spencer?
Yes.
Commissioner Malice? No. Commissioner Prince?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Abstain.
Commissioner Smith?
I'll vote to support the staff.
Commissioner Poozer?
Yes.
And Commissioner McKnight?
Abstain.
All right, so Z 2439 has been approved with staff recommendations.
Thank you.
Now, the final decision will be made January 7th. January 7th, so you do have to return. All right. Last item on the agenda, excuse me, Item number 5, special exception 24-18 is a petition by Old Time Way Church of God in Christ requesting a special exception per section 26(1)M of the comprehensive zoning ordinance in order to establish a cemetery affecting 5 acres out of 30.76 acre tract located at 3451 Old McDuffie Road. It is currently zoned R1C, one family residential, and R3A, multiple family residential, and R3C. So we've got multiple zonings on this one parcel. Staff will present.
All right, Kevin Boyd. This petition seeks a special exception for 5 acres of a 30.76 acre tract, and this is located at 3451 Old McDuffie Road. The property is currently situated in the R1C, R3A, and R3C multiple family residential zones. A portion of the property being affected is entirely situated in the R3A zone, and no future development is planned for the proposed cemetery site. The property contains a surface parking lot immediately to the north of the cemetery area, but remaining of the site remains vacant. On Tuesday, March 19, 2002, the Augusta Commission approved zoning case Z-0219 for a proposed senior living apartment complex on the property, which was not developed. The Georgia Department of Transportation, GDOT, functional classification map 2017 classifies this section of Old McDuffie Road as a local road. There are no transit routes or stops located within a half mile of the property. The property is located outside the 100-year special flood hazard area, and there are no wetlands located on the property. The request is consistent with the 2023 comprehensive plan, as the property is located on a local residential street that dead ends approximately 1,400 feet from the subject property, and is situated adjacent to ag and R1C zones properties. As a completion of the staff report, we did receive one call in opposition concerning this request, and that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Kevin. Is the petitioner present? Sir, if you give us your name and address and a brief overview of the cemetery project.
Okay. James Lampkin, 2940 Arrowwood Circle in Hepzibah, Georgia. I'm one of the trustees at the Old Time Way Church of God in Christ. Our congregation got together and everybody, they voted on having a cemetery put on the 30-acre tract that we was not using across the street. And it was kind of overwhelmingly voted to have the cemetery. And that's when they chose me as the coordinator. I didn't know how to come down here this many times. But I've been running back and forth down here, and finally we got an approval from the zoning.
Well, welcome. Anybody opposed to this petition? Hearing none. Any questions from the commission? Staff recommendation.
The Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of the special exception request with the following conditions. Number 1, creation of the 5-acre tract cemetery in the southern portion of the property according to the survey filed with the application is the preferred location. Number 2, that the 50-foot undisturbed natural buffer be retained along all portions of the subject property that adjoin the existing single-family residences. Number 3, there shall be a 10-foot planted buffer along the front of the entire parcel that fronts on Old McDuffie Road that serves as a cemetery. Number 4, the cemetery shall be accessed through the existing asphalt parking lot. There shall be no new curb cut. That concludes staff's recommendation.
I agree.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve staff recommendation.
Second.
All right, there was a motion to approve special exception 2418 by Owens and Poozer. All in favor of the approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, so your special exception 2418 has been approved with staff 4 recommendations.
All right, now, before everybody takes off, we got a couple other items of business. Let's do the legal. Anything from legal?
Senator, what about another legal?
Approval of the minutes from the last meeting.
Move to second.
Okay, so all in favor of the approval of the November minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
All right, next is the election of the new chairman and vice chairman.
Yep, we open the floor for
Nominations are open.
Always abstain.
All right, so we open the nominations for chairman of the Planning Commission for 2025.
I nominate Vice Chairman Poozer.
Okay.
Second.
We got a nomination.
Hold on. So how nominations work is that everyone puts the names on the floor, and you vote in order of those names that are put on the floor. So Poozer is first, and then whoever else names gets put in comes subsequent to that. Whomever crosses the majority threshold wins, and that ends the going through the names of the nomination.
Yeah, we heard you. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, for the recording.
How many likes that got?
I think he does want you to say it again, Sam.
What's that?
He wants you to repeat it.
Okay. So the proper procedure is for the nominations just to be names, and the votes go per name. So first it would be Poozer, and every subsequent name would then go. Once a name reaches the majority of votes, that ends the process so that any subsequent name doesn't get a vote. And then you would move on to the vice chair process in the same thing, so there would be no needs for a second.
So nominations are open for the chairman spot. So anybody that you would like to nominate, please name them, please.
Poozer's name is already the first one.
We got Poozer. Anyone else throwing their name in the hat? All right. Chairman, are you wanting to close nominations?
For the chairman.
For the chairman. Yes. Yes. Okay. We'll close the nominations for the chairman.
I'm sorry, I need to ask, when can the chair vote in this case? I tried to find it in the bylaws and couldn't, but it's been a couple of years since we.
I'm going to say no.
In case we need to break a tie.
If you need to break a tie, but other than that, no.
Okay. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, we got to take a vote now.
Oh, we still got to vote.
We still have to take a vote. So the nomination for chairman of the 2025 Planning Commission is Poozer. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Welcome, Mr. Poozer.
Thank you.
Chairman
Thank
of
you all.
2025.
Thank you.
Do you accept the assignment?
Absolutely.
You volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. Next up, we have to open the nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Commissioner Smith.
I'll deny. I will not serve if elected.
I nominate James O'Neill.
I nominate Commissioner Stephanie Clark.
I agree with that one.
And Zeldin Davis.
Oh, because he's not here.
I'm glad you called. I started to say, wait a minute. So Stephanie's the only one nominated so far?
I nominate Robert Cooks.
I have those accepting their nominations as Clark and Davis. You did accept the nomination. So we have two nominations that have nominees who have accepted. So now we will do the vote. We'll start with Mrs. Clark. All in favor of Ms. Clark for the 2025 Vice Chair, please raise your hands and signify.
I can't see them there. They got hands up. Can y'all raise them high?
Ms. Clark.
For Ms. Clark, I see Spencer, Poozer, McKnight, Owens, and Smith. Ms. Clark, are you voting? Okay. So we've got Ms. Clark voting too, for Clark. How many is that?
I had 6.
6, okay. All right, that's the majority.
All those no?
And a no from Ms. Clark.
Any no's for Ms. Clark?
Okay. Yeas got it.
Okay. He's got the, she got the
Congratulations,
majority.
Commissioner Clark.
All right, congratulations. Our 2025 Vice Chair is Ms. Stephanie Clark. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you all in January.